All right. What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another day of SaberSim's DFS office hours. It is Monday, February 19th of 2024 here. It is President's Day. It is still NBA All-Star break, but we did have the NHL main slate kickoff earlier this morning. Good luck to all of you in your contest there. And then in the NASCAR streets, Daytona was postponed yesterday due to rain, and Daytona is set to wave the flag here in about 30 minutes. So NASCAR lock coming up pretty soon. So it should be a fun day of sweating some NASCAR lineups. For those of you who are new here, welcome. My name is Andrew. I'm one of the coaches over here at SaberSim. This is a show where we go over how to use the SaberSim app, answer any and all DFS related questions. You get your questions in one of three ways here. First off, send us an email, support@sabersim.com. Second, post it live in the YouTube chat. And third way, post it in the office hours channel in our Discord server. So if you're not in our Discord, want to get access to that channel, there's a link in the description of this video. You also get access to our similar channels, individual sport channels, and you get access to the rest of the SaberSim team here. So can't say enough good things about the Discord. But with that said, we're going to get the app pulled up here. Had to bust out the NASCAR shirt just for today. So wanted to wear something in response to Daytona today. So it should be a fun day. I'm really looking forward to it. Probably like the only day of the year I'll play NASCAR. So hope you guys are enjoying some NASCAR sweats as well. But with that said, we don't have any questions in the Discord. We have one that just came in from Nick. If you guys do have questions, now's a good time to get them in. I was going to do a demo, making some lineups for NASCAR, talking a little bit about geometric mean and some of those things to go along with the video that Jordan released. So if you guys missed it, we released a couple videos here. This was a models interview with Eric, one of our data scientists behind the wheel of NASCAR DFS Sims, big updates for the 2024 season. And then this is Jordan's video on 4 keys to dominate NASCAR DFS in 2024. So check out both of those videos. Very good here. So I'm going to hit this first one from Nick. He said, what's the best way to track top 1% equity / finish rate? Honestly, the best way to do it is with a paid service called Roto Tracker. They make it really easy where you can upload all your CSV files with your contest history from DraftKings, from FanDuel, from Yahoo, and they summarize all that information for you. So in my opinion, that's probably the easiest way to do it. If you're not doing it that way, then it becomes this very, very tedious manual task where you have to kind of do something like what I would suggest is you build your lineups in a pool, right? You have one build. And then after that, you probably pick a single contest, probably. Yeah. I mean, honestly, the Roto Tracker is probably going to be the best way in my opinion here. But if you wanted to do it in the app, what you would have to do is pick a contest. So say I go back to, yesterday's NHL slate, for instance. I go back to this two-game main slate. So then I go into the contest, say I'm playing the micro sniper here. And then I would look at how many places are in here. So 4, 7, 5, 6. So that means 1% of that is about 48th place here, because 10% would be 475. So then you have to go and look at what the actual score is for the 48th best lineup, right? So then if I scroll down here, rank 42, got some dupes here, rank 45, rank 47. So then the actual score of this was 132.3. So then what I would have to do is say, okay, how many lineups did I build that were higher than 132.3? And then you would have to go and look. So then what I could do is if I had a lineup file here, I could basically just view my entries, and then this will go to all of your lineups in your contest here. So then if I click view my entries, I'm going to go look at my lineups and say, hey, how many lineups did I have over 132.3 points? And then you could kind of track it that way. So that's a little bit different. That requires you to basically pick a contest and use that as your proxy, as opposed to doing it through a paid service like Roto Tracker, where they are going to do it on a contest by contest basis. So those are the best ways that I know about. All right. So getting back here, going to go to today, going to go to NASCAR, going to go to the cup race here. So I'm on this build, right? We're going to start our demo. So first thing I'm going to do, I told you guys, like, I don't really play NASCAR. So one thing I'm going to do if I'm new here is really just trust the Sims, right? A lot of updates went into this season here, and I watched Eric's video, just kind of familiarizing yourself with what's going on here. So 2 small adjustments to projections to unlock my lineups. I'm actually going to drop mid salary down, and I'm going to make sure my sliders are on 0-10, right? Taking single race simulations of how the race could play out, and then using those simulations to build each individual lineup, and then letting that happen for as many lineups as we request as part of our pool size. I think one thing I didn't do is I did not lower the pool size here. So I meant to just run 500 to just save some time here. So I'll probably cancel it. Just be aware when you run these 0-10 builds, the builder is going to be a little slower because builds on Sim Diversity 10 are just a little bit more intense for the builder to handle from like a technical side. So I'm just going to stop it here at like 800. But basically I would get my lineups, right? And then now I kind of want to do some risk management. So from here, I think Jordan was talking about this in his video, is that, these distributions are kind of all over the place, right? I mean, Kyle Busch's mean is 41 points. But he has, that happens about 6% of the time. And then like this just like huge range where like almost all of these outcomes from 0 to like 70 come up at like a very similar frequency here. So pretty crazy. If you guys, do any type of like, if you guys are familiar, Daytona is like very, very crash heavy course. So it's something where a lot of people like to get very spread out. You're going to see these ownerships pretty spread out across the board. You're looking at like 30% max. If you look at like some other races throughout the year, racers can get up to, 40%, 50%, 60%. So the field, definitely adjusting to Daytona being crash heavy here. And that's right. Jordan kind of talked about it like, hey, the field is going to be directionally right in some of the stands that it takes, but you need to take that stand beyond that, or like figure out a way to get different from beyond that point of view. Right. So that's kind of what we're trying to like figure out here. And one thing that I want to look at is like, hey, in my pool, there's nobody over 32% exposure. So even the pool is like super, super spread out, and I don't have any restrictions here, right? No min exposures, no max exposures. The builder could do whatever it wants, but even naturally it's getting very spread out. So that's really good to see. Now I'm going to go into my contest tab. I'm going to set up a contest sim. Say I'm playing, I saw that really good $3.20 max here. So this part of the micro millions. So I think this is like a pretty solid contest to play. So I'm going to click adding my contest sim for this $3.20 max, percent of versus only 10%. So pretty flat payout structure here. Going to go back to my build, going to kick off my contest sim here. And then when this is done, I'm going to go in here, I'm going to adjust my story metric, and then we're going to kind of do some risk management. But as you guys can see, I really didn't do anything with the projections, trusting the ownership here, focusing my time where I think my time is best going to be spent is after the lineups are created. So contest sim ran, I'm going to go and sort by risk adjusted ROI. And I'm going to see how some of these things change, right? So going from single game saber score to risk adjusted ROI, one of the biggest things I notice here is that my exposures get a little higher for some racers. So at the single game saber score, 65% Kyle Busch, Martin Truex Jr. 50%. Those are the only 2 people 50% or above. And then when I go to risk adjusted ROI, my top racer becomes Kyle Busch. He's at 85% now. Blaney's at 80%. Stenhouse Jr. is at 60%, and then Martin Truex at 50%. So we went from 2 racers, highest exposure 65%, and then 50%. So 2 racers over 50%. To 4 racers over 50%, and now the highest being 85%. So this is like kind of a good example as well of like, hey, risk adjusted ROI is, accounting for risk, but that ROI component still leads it to take some very, very aggressive stands here. And then this is like a good opportunity for you to come in and do some additional risk management, right? So say, you know, we're playing 20 lineups and this $3.20 max. Okay, great. I'm going to scroll down to the bottom lineup here. I always want to see, you know, what the metrics for my last lineup in my set are going to be as I make changes. And then one thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to start, you know, making some adjustments to min uniques right off the bat. Okay, we go from lineup 20 to lineup 21. So barely skip one lineup. At 3 min uniques, we're down to lineup 68. Okay, great. We're getting a little further here. Now at 4 min uniques, we're down to lineup 293. Our last lineup in our set is sim ROI 25%. But kind of good news here is that our highest exposure is now down to 45%. And these leverages are a lot lower. So kind of at this point, I would probably stop adjusting the min uniques and spend a little bit of time on my players. So the way that I like to do that is come in here and sort by leverage. It's like, hey, who are we taking stands on? Okay, we're taking stands on Kyle Busch, Ryan Blaney. Our top 4 exposures are all racers starting in positions 30 or later. So this is like one thing that's really important about Daytona here is that there's a lot of crashes. There's a lot of opportunity for place differential where, you know, whatever position you start at, every position you gain in the final standings are additional points for you, right? So those are opportunities that racers starting at the front don't have. They just have the ability to kind of lose places, right? So that's one thing to take into account in a race like this. So kind of makes sense to me why our top 4 exposures are all racers starting in positions 30 or later here. I'm fine with that. And then I want to inversely sort by leverage as well. See, hey, who are we taking the biggest stands against? And, you know, kind of following a similar tune here. Okay, starting position 5, starting position 3, starting position 7, starting position 1, starting position 6, starting position 4. So what we're saying is like, hey, we want to take this stack the back approach, play racers that are starting at the back of the positions here because we think that they just have more upside, more ability to gain more points than some of these guys starting at the front where they're going to have to, you know, lead. They're going to have to be fighting against each other. And we can also, you know, kind of compare pool exposure here, right? So the negative leverage isn't huge. All these guys, about like 10% or less ownership here. And we're just kind of taking a stand against them in 20 lineups, right? So I think that's totally okay. Everything here looks completely fine to me. I would feel more than comfortable submitting these lineups at this point here. But if I wanted to take it a step further, right, one thing that I could do is come in here and do a filter for geometric mean. So if I want to go to my filters and I want to add a filter, well, first thing I need to do is if I want to use geometric mean, so if you're on the Pro and Ultimate, you could do it as a custom metric and a filter. If you're on the standard plan or another plan, you got to do it as a rule, right? So I just want to make sure that I cover both here. So if I go to my lineup rules, I go to add new rule, I go to rule type aggregate, I change my projection to my own, change sum to geometric mean, and then I would say no more than X. So then now I need to do this, figure out what number I'm going to be using. So when I go to my $3.20 max, I see that there's about 79,000 entries. Okay, so I'm going to pull up my calculator. So then what I'm going to do is a formula here where I'm going to try and estimate dupes. So let's say that I don't want to play lineups that have an estimated dupes of more than 20. So I'm going to go 20 divided by 79,000 here. I'm just rounding to the power, parentheses, of 1 divided by 6. 6 is the number of racers in a lineup. So 20 here is the dupes I'm shooting for. 79,000 is the entries in my contest. And then it's 1 divided by the number of players in your lineup, which is 6. And then I hit equals. So then now I get this number 25.2 because we're going to round the decimal place. So then what I would do here is go into my sorting metrics, add a new metric, and then it'll give you a pop-up here. So I actually have one created. So then I just named it GeoMean, so I know what it is. And I do my own product GeoMean value. Just leave the weight at 1. That's fine. Now it's going to create a custom metric under each lineup where it's going to do that calculation for me. So for instance, this lineup that I'm looking at here has a GeoMean of 18.31. So that would be under that 25 threshold that we talked about. So then what I'm going to do here is now that I created the custom metric in my dropdown, I can go to add filter and I could say show lineups with GeoMean less than 25.2. Okay, so that didn't get rid of any lineups. That's great. That means that, you know, our lineups already have, you know, lower chance of being duplicated. So then at this point, what I would do personally is I would just go rerun this and use a smaller number. So I'm going to do 10 divided by 79,000 to the power 1 divided by 6. And now we have 22.4. So let's try that. So I'm going to go to my filter, show lineups with geo mean less than 22.4. Okay, so we got rid of 8 lineups here. So honestly, I would probably go one step further and just do like 5. So 5 divided by 79,000, because I do want to filter out, some lineups here. So 5 divided by 79,000. I don't think, the 8 lineups that we did was really enough. 1 divided by 6. 19, and basically like 20 flat here. So then I'm going to come in here, change 22.4 to 20. And now we've gotten rid of 93 lineups. So this is closer to about 10% of our pool, which I'm very, very comfortable with here. And one thing that you can see is if I turn this filter off and I redo it. So right now we have 20 lineups here, right? You're actually going to see how many lineups get removed from your set of 20 intermittently here. So when I click save, the number goes from 20 down to 15, and then 5 lineups get refilled to make this 20 again. So basically what we're saying is, hey, from the 20 lineups that we had previously, 5 of those lineups had a geo mean higher than the value that we set. So we could have expected those lineups to be duplicated more than 5 times, but we've now gotten rid of those lineups and then filled those lineups with 5 new lineups. So that's basically how you use it as a post-build filter. If you did it as a rule, you would just set that before running your lineups and then click the build lineups, and then you would be all set. So now, very similar here. I'm still using my geo mean. I'm still using my min uniques. I'm still looking at my exposures and my leverages here. I still think everything looks fine. So I would still be comfortable submitting the lineups at this point, but now I've just gone that extra step to include that either rule or filter here in my lineups to just try and lower my duplication level overall. But that is just about everything that I'm doing here for my NASCAR lineups. Nothing crazy here. Trying to rely on the sim, trying to rely on the lap by lap sim here, and let our model guys do all the hard work and just try and do some risk management here in the post build. But hopefully that helps you guys out here. I know lock is in about 10 minutes here, so good luck to all of you playing. But we didn't have any other questions here, so I wanted to do that demo. So now that we're through that, I am going to get out of here. So until tomorrow, everybody, take care. Good luck today. I'll see you all tomorrow, Tuesday, 4 p.m. Eastern. Thanks. Bye.